And welcome back. I haven't done one of these in God knows how long, but seeing as, I got a little bit more free time at the moment. Now I'm still working, but I work in a pet store, so I'm considered essential. But I've got a bit more time. And without me doing the box office now, there's a bit of a hole on Sundays. So maybe I'll do a random video on Sundays. And this random video is a worst to best. Now, I haven't done one of these in ages. Basically, I take a topic. I think so far I've done like the doctors of the TV show House, which one was the worst, which one was the best, back and forth from there and there. The Marvel movie, the Marvel villains, I think I did that one as well. That was a big list. So, yeah, but I haven't, and this one's been rallying my mind for a long time. So, screw it. I watched one guy's video about when that 70's show died. So I figured my 70's show video. So this is the best to worst characters on that 70's show. Now, I'm not going to go into how necessarily I grade it in terms of like the numbers. I did kind of do it that way. But basically, I grade them all kind of an idea of their personalities, how they impacted the other characters on the show, morality, did they grow as characters, so forth and so on. Now, asterisk is here. This is a show that takes place in the 70's. The values of people in the 70's do not reflect the values of people who lived in the 90's, 2000s now. That said, it's a show about the 70's on in the 90's, which I was alive for, so I think it's fair game for me to judge them as is. Also, I'm not going to start with the best and end with the worst. What I'm actually going to do is start with the second best, go towards the second worst, and then at the end of the video, I'll give you the best and worst. That way I don't start with just spoiling out who the best, the worst was. But I got my notes here, so I know how to basically accurately judge these individuals. Yeah, let's just get into it. So, and by the way, in terms of who I was grading, it's what you see in this video, right? What you see in this photo right here. The original cast. Red, Kitty, Eric, Hyde, Bob, Donna, Jackie, Fez, and Kelso. They're the main, to me, they are the main. They're the ones who were there from the beginning and persisted throughout the entire series. Even Eric shows up in the last episode, so you can still count that. Characters like Midge, characters like Joanna, Randy, characters that stayed for a while and then left. I don't really, or just were there for a whole season and whatever. I'm not doing them just because they aren't truly the main cast. We are sticking with the main cast. Now, that could theoretically include, like, Leo as well, but Leo disappeared for a few seasons because of jail time. Tommy trying to go to jail. Lori is so intermittent here and there. I can't count her. Like, Bob is, like, in nearly every episode. That's why I can include Bob. And he's in every season. So, anyway, without further ado, let's get into it. So, our second best character on that 70's show, in my opinion, is Hyde. Hyde is that kind of guy that I think a lot of us sort of are, at least a lot of us guys that we intend to be, in the sense that, look, he's got a tough exterior. He's outspoken. Obviously, he's a conspiracy nut. But deep down, he's a good guy. The problem for him is that he does come from a broken home. And for someone who comes from a broken home, yeah, he commits the odd felony here and there, but he shows that he's understanding what he's doing is wrong. He just does it because, it's his way of kind of expressing himself. When you break it down, when you look at how his relationships turn out with the people around him, he's Eric's best friend. He's still able to, he's able to put up with Kelso. He's great friends with Fez, even though both of them are lower on the list. He's extremely tolerant, and when he does lose his cool, it's for very reasonable circumstances. He's also pretty solid in the relationships he has when you really break it down. First off, he had no problem just, messing around with random girls, but when he got into a relationship with Jackie, he was committed to Jackie up until he thought she cheated on him. Now, you can definitely make an argument that his reaction to that, instead of talking to her about it, was to go and cheat on her. Yeah, that's probably not the best thing he should have done. And that did dock him some points. That's why he's not the best character. But when you break it all down, he was committed to Jackie. Absolutely. And it's honestly not his fault they broke up. We'll get to that when we get to Jackie, but it's not his fault they broke up. And then when he accidentally got married to Sam later in the last season, early in the last season, he was still committed to her as well. So he's definitely committed. Now, I will say, he's also not a burden on really any of his friends. I mean, yes, he lives with the Foremans, but that's because they told him, live with us. That's not him being a burden on them. That's them accepting the burden of having another person there. And he pulled his weight in the house. He did the dishes, things along that. Like, he was a good guest and a good occupant in the house. The Foremans came to look at him as basically a second son. I will say, as in terms of growth, he certainly had some level of growth. Like, he always kind of remained himself. But, he goes on to, manage, he goes from the photo hut to, being a cook, to managing and then owning his dad's record store. So he definitely has character growth to that. He understands a bit more about responsibility, but he never loses the type of person he actually is. So for me, Hyde is the second best character on that 70s show. Coming in at number, which one are we on now? The second best. Third best character, oddly enough, is Bob. Now, I will say this for Bob right off the bat. He is a bit of a burden on his neighbors and his family to some degree. Now, not in the early season. In the early seasons, he is a working man. Like, if anything, I side with Bob when he was arguing with Mitch about doing the dishes. It's like, she's like, well, I'm not happy. It's like, I meditate all day. Look, I work all day. I just want the house, I would hope that at least the house, you do the dishes while I'm at work. And really, it's like, Mitch, yeah, you could have done the dishes and then gone to meditate. Like, seriously? I get she was unhappy, but at the same time, you live there too. Were you expecting him to just do the dishes? I'm not saying that he's right for being admittedly chauvinistic. He is a little chauvinistic, especially for the time. But oh no, you're not going back there. You don't need to do that, Mitch. If this is Julia, I can buy you jewelry. It's like, yeah, he's definitely a bit chauvinistic. Definitely got that men are spirit of women mentality on some level. But at the same time, I get where he was coming from in the first season, at least in that argument. That said, though, yeah, he will at like 2 a.m. start putting up Christmas decorations that light up the entire freaking neighborhood. Drunk, he'll cut down trees that will land in his neighbor's yard and nearly hit him. He is a lousy house guest when he moves in with the Foremans. So he is a bit of a burden on the people around him. But I also have to grade him these people on how funny they are. Like Hyde's legitimately funny. Absolutely. Hyde's almost always consistently funny. Bob, frankly, never fails to get a laugh. Now, whether that's at his own expense or on the expense of other people that he's interacting with, doesn't really matter. Bob kind of never fails to get a laugh. Bob is just quirky and lovable in that regard. His morality does leave something to be desired. Like, he had no problem doing a nudist party, which is fine. But then the open marriage thing happened, and that clearly backfired in their face a little bit. He's not the best with relationships either. Obviously he ruined he failed his marriage with his first wife, Midge. Joanne ultimately didn't work out. Brooke Shields, Jackie's mom, Pam, didn't work out. So his relationships, admittedly, he's doing his best. And now looking at this, he probably would rate a little lower on the list, thinking about how I rated them on relationships. But you also found a factor in his relationship with everyone else. The kids, yeah, he's quirky and can be a little odd sometimes and maybe a little bit of a burden, but not really in the sense that it's negatively impacting anyone's lives. And ultimately, he and Red are friends. They are friends. And, he appreciates Red's friendship, and Red does appreciate Bob's friendship too. He's always nice to Kitty. I think, if I remember correctly, and I am remembering this right, the one thing that kind of really hurt him here was growth. Like, he never grew as a character. He was always Bob. And, that hurt him. If anything, the fact that he never grew at all kind of hurts him a bit more in the long run. He could be higher on the list if he just kind of learned from a bit of his lessons. But ultimately, no, he's still Bob, just reacting, doing whatever he wants, thinking he's doing the right thing, and ultimately selling the house and without Donna's permission. And he's like, I could just take it off. You can't? No, it sold this morning. Oh, crap. So Bob is the number 3rd ranked best character. Now we're getting into number 4, and we're getting basically close to the middle here. And basically the 4th best character is Donna. Now, Donna, why is Donna a little less lower on the list than her dad? Because when you break it down, Donna is ultimately, now let's also be clear, everyone here is ultimately a good person. Donna is arguably a better person, like morality-wise, than their father. She never cheated on Eric. She's always outspoken. She fights for feminism, all that. So she got a great, she's got a great head on her shoulders. She's a good person, all that. Here's where Donna really got the shaft. Donna is also, everyone's funny on some level. Even like Kelso's funny, and I don't rank Kelso high. When we get to Kelso, you'll see why. But Donna's, the problem with Donna is several folds. And it's going to be weird for me to go into this much complaining about Donna, given how high she actually is on the list. But Donna is she's a 90s woman written in a 70s show. And she's a woman who was ahead of her time. And because of that, her attitude comes off as very abrasive at points. And she comes off like her needs outweigh everyone else's sometimes. And what I mean by that is that you look at episodes, and one of the episodes that I always go to this is the episode where they go to the Ted Nugent concert. She goes to get an interview with Ted Nugent. It's like, Eric's like, okay, I'll be back in like 5 minutes. It's like, okay, that's fine. And if I were Eric, I would have been like, yeah, go. No, cool. Yeah. Yeah. And then she's gone for like 30 minutes, 40. We don't know how long she's gone. We know it's a while. And Eric is honestly rightfully pissed off. It's like, my problem is you ditched me. I didn't ditch you. No, you ditched him. You said this amount of time, you're gone for X amount of time. You come back and pretend nothing like happens. Like, no, you said like 15 minutes. It's been like a half hour, 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Yeah, and then there's like, Foreman can go. Yeah, Eric, can we go? It's like, you know what? You want to go? Fine. I'll freaking take the car, put it in my driveway. You live right next door. I'm walking home. Or better yet, you can walk your ass home. No, I know, and obviously Eric's lower on this list, so I think he's a worse character. But no, I was completely on Eric's side in that situation. Likewise, she comes off a bit more know-it-all than the other. Like, she thinks she knows better than a lot of the other characters. And to be fair, she kind of does, because the other characters are a bit more idiotic. But she tends to flaunt a bit too much, like her ideologies that ultimately are ultimately not gonna get her anywhere in the show. Like, she floats that she's going to college over and over again, but it never happens. She floats that she's a feminist and then gives up on that, being called hot damn it. She, quite frankly, is a bit of a hypocrite. She never really focuses on anything anything solid and sets her mind into it until near the end, where she's finally going to college. And that doesn't, we honestly don't know if she went to college or not. We assume she did. And then she changed her hair blonde, frankly, because it was on the show. It was because she landed them like a role somewhere, and that's why her hair went blonde. Ultimately, though, it didn't really do much for the character. Like, why she was a blonde is okay, fine. She looked honestly much better as a redhead, quite frankly. Oh, pardon me. And then you gotta talk about how she kind of handled her relationships. She really didn't handle her relationships very well. Like, she's basically the dominant one in the relationship with Eric. That's basically it. And yeah, Eric's a bit of is more of it than a dumbass for how he handled the relationship, especially early on, where she wouldn't take his ring, blah, 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 old school ideals. But at the same time, it's like, yeah, you didn't help the relationship a lot either. I mean, let's be honest. I agreed with her to an extent when they were talking about, you're going to be so good staying home taking care of our children. It's like, what do you envision our future like? Sure. Well, what about this? Well, that's fine too. I was like, well, yeah, you realize you both could work and hire a nanny or something, right? I mean, yeah, one of you can stay home, whatever. That's fine, but, And then obviously and I give her credit for this one. I don't hate her for this. When she writes the story in the paper and taking from individuals' lives, it's clear what she's doing. And she basically denies it. It's like, no, Donna, look, be upfront about it, okay? Like, seriously? Because, quite frankly, it's a bit more douchey to deny it than to just lie and say, no, it's not about you. It's when it's clearly about them. And then, those girls come and say, cat killer, bastard, porno freak. It's like, well, they could be talking about it. It was like, seriously, Donna, come on. Again, that's not necessarily all her fault, but she has to take some responsibility. And that's the thing that I think is the biggest problem with Donna for me, is that she doesn't take responsibility for her actions most of the time. Like, sometimes she does. Like, she dates Randy in the last season, and she takes responsibility for, she at least tries to patch it up with Kitty, and we'll get to Kitty. And to be fair, she was flaunting that around quite a bit. Like, seriously, in their freaking front, and Eric's old room. Come on, Donna, seriously. It's Donna. I like Donna. I do like Donna a lot. She's still only fourth. She's fourth best character. Like I said, she's not even in the middle yet. But yeah, to me, she's that's where she ranks. So coming in at number 5, my number 5, the fifth ranked one. If I got that right, we are on, this would be number 5 on the list. And number 5 on the list is now the neutral ground, which means smack dab in the middle, because we're at 9, so it's even. After this, we're now going beyond that, and we're going to the worst characters. So in the neutral ground is Fez. Now Fez is always funny. To me, Fez is nearly always funny. And Fez, does show a lot of growth. Like, he comes off, he's less this awkward foreign nerd, and, does end up becoming kind of growing his own person, getting his own place, actually becoming, a chick magnet somehow, some way. Eventually getting into a legitimate relationship with Jackie, the girl he always pined for. And you know what? Legitimately, too. I know I can't remember the individual who did the video on how it died and why this was weird for Fez's character. I actually agreed with him initially. It's like, you went from Hyde to Kelso or Kelso to Hyde, like this, and now what? Now me? It's like, so I kind of agree. At the same time, no, you were pining for her for years. Come on. So yeah, but at the same time, I get it. The problem why Fez is so neutral, and again, every one of these guys are good people, is that he does put a burden on his friends. Like, seriously, the amount of crap he pulls and what they let him get away with is amazing, because it ties into his morality too. This man has no shame. Like, in the early seasons, he's fine. He's just an awkward nerd with a love for candy and high sex drive. He's constantly breaking into people's houses and watching them, specifically watching them have sex or hooking up. It's like, dude, what the fuck? That first off, that's voyeurism, whatever. But illegally breaking into their houses, like, seriously? Like, what the hell? He's willing to have sex on multiple occasions with drunk. I don't think he ever does, but he's more than willing to have sex with intoxicated or inebriated people who aren't really able to consent very well. So he's able to do that, or willing to do that. He has no problem just hitting on people. He was even willing to have sex with underage girls. So Fez's morality is woohoo. Fez is a bit of an effed up individual when you really break it down. That said, we know Fez is actually a good person ultimately. Granted, he shot a rabbit on a firing range. That's effed up. Like, seriously, what the hell, Fez? And he showed no remorse for doing it either. Like, dude, that's effed up. Like, that's seriously effed up, dude. Like, really, like, what the hell? And even Kelso's like, I didn't know you were going to shoot a rabbit or something. And he's just, like, if you didn't really know me at all. What the, dude? And then he cooks the rabbit and feeds it to Eric and Donna. Like, what the hell? He's the reason Red has a heart attack, technically speaking. And then, Lori marries him to stay in the country. It's like, oh, I was just bored. And then, that puts the heart attack on Red. It's like, Fez ultimately isn't a bad person, but he's definitely a guy who's got issues and they need to be addressed. So now we're into the top 4. Well, technically we got the best and the worst. So now, but we're in the, which one are we on now? We're on the bottom 3 leading into the worst and the best. So coming in as the 4th worst character in that 70s show, in my mind, surprisingly for me, was Eric. And I mean that because I thought he might be lower on the list. To me, Eric, like everyone of the guys, again, I say it's fine. He's our main character. He's our everyman. We're following him through a lot. Now, he's never cheated on Donna. Obviously, kid, he fantasized, sure, but he's never cheated on Donna. Donna's really the only relationship he had. He's went on a couple other dates, but Donna's the only other relationship he's had. But the big problem for him is twofold. And this came long after, not from watching it the first run, but from watching it the reruns again, is that, when you really break it down, Eric does not grow much as a character. He's still the smart-ass, whiny, and I'll use it, the geeky, nerdy, but the nerdy thing doesn't matter. I'm a nerd, for God's sake. I don't care. But he's still whiny, geeky, basically spoiled brat who's really bitching his parent, who really talks back to his dad for no reason whatsoever, apart from the fact that Red's a bit of a hard ass on him. And when really it's like, why? And not why that Red's a hard ass, but why? Dude, you have a nice life. You have a mom and dad who do love you, and you know they love you. Yeah, your sister's a bitch, but whatever. And you just don't appreciate the things you have. That's why, and Hyde, when he's, at the first episode, he stays there, when he's like sweeping the garage, doing things, Red's just like, wow, here you go, Steven's like, and then Eric's just like, what did you do? I loved you? Yeah. It's like you're just expecting money because you didn't do anything. And and Eric's just like, you're kissing Phantom Buzz. Like, dude, I thought it was hard, but now doing your chores, living your day-to-day life, I just realized you're a spoiled brat. And that's basically it. Eric is a spoiled brat. He is. When you actually look at his character. Now, they're not rich or anything, but he's had a good, comfortable life. He's never actually known hardship. Like, he doesn't even come close to knowing the crap that Hyde knows. Like, Hyde came from a broken home. His mom and dad abandoned him. Jackie's dad went to jail. Feds, for God's sake, in that time period, he's foreigner, meaning he's going to be subject to some level of racism. He's got a difficult time communicating. So, because his accent is so thick. And even Donna and Jackie, they're women in the 70s. They have different prejudices against them. Eric is just a skinny white kid who comes from a nice suburban family. Yeah, sorry. The only one who's also the same, would be in the same boat, is Kelso. And Kelso's disabled, let's be honest. So there's that. And really, throughout the series, he doesn't grow that much. He matures to some extent for a while, and then he regresses when he takes that year off for school. Year off of school. And then he digresses even further. And then eventually they just abandoned him because they wanted to pursue a movie career, Topher Grace. So ultimately, he's a bit of a burden in the sense that, he's just, everything he does is, any problem that comes on him is usually self-inflicted. Any problem that usually, comes by way of, the gang, a lot of that is also self-inflicted on him. So by him, or something is inflicted by him in some capacity. So to me, Eric is surprisingly only the fourth worst character in that 70s show, but the fourth worst character in that 70s show. Coming in at the bronze medal spot, if you will, is Jackie Burkhart. Now, Jackie, this was hard for me because honestly, initially Jackie, this next character, and Eric both actually scored the same score, so I had to kind of see who kind of edges out who here. And Jackie edged out Eric. Now, why did Jackie edge out Eric? Well, Jackie is about as funny as Eric to me in the fact that they're both kind of annoying at points, but they definitely have their moments of laughter. Where she definitely was a bit of a downgrade from Eric in my mind was her ability, where did I downgrade her from? Oh, was her morality, quite frankly, and her personality, because she is the spoiled valley girl, and she never stopped being a spoiled valley girl. She thinks the world is about her, that everything needs to be for her, that, that common freaking anatizing, no, I'm not going to tell you what's wrong. You should just know what's wrong and figure it out. It's like, that's not how life works. And let's go back real quick to what I said about reason Hyde and her broke up. Jackie is like, no, please, I'm not going to stay with you if there's not a future. Please tell me one day we're going to get married. It's like, Hyde's just like, I don't know. And you're 18. this is the biggest problem I had. Like, she tried to marry Kelso at like 16 or something like that. It's like, what? I get it. The mentality is different, but even back in the 70s, getting married at 18 is dumb as shit. That's why Eric and Donna realized they were making a mistake. For all their faults, they realized they were making a mistake. Jackie doesn't get that. She, at least not until the end of the, at least last season, where she realized that maybe it's probably not the best that they get married that soon, or ready to get married yet. But she's got such this fairy tale mentality about the world that it just doesn't mesh. And you want to talk about burdens on people, she's one of the biggest burdens on the entire show, because she's burdened on Donna because she's constantly dragging her away from stuff. Take the football game. She wants to watch the football game. It's like, no. She's a burden on Kelso their entire relationship, though he's as much a burden, quite frankly. She's a burden on the whole group, quite in many regards. Now, as she gets older, as she progresses, yes, she proves to some degree. She definitely matures to a certain level. She's able to hold down her own job. She's able to, live in an apartment with Fez, to some degree. She's able to grow to a certain extent and ultimately realize her feelings for Fez. She is ultimately able to realize that. So she's not without her benefits. She's not without her positives, I should say. But she is the third worst character on that 70s show, in my opinion. And now we're on to the second worst character in that 70s show, in my opinion. Oh, and get ready for this one, folks, because we only got 3 characters left. The worst, the best, and this one. Who is it? Kitty. Oh, I'm going to get so much hate for this. I am. Kitty, oh my God. Kitty. Okay, so initially as Kitty starts out as a character, I understand her completely. She is just that standard mom, She kind of doesn't understand certain levels of humor. She's got that laugh where she laughs awkwardly. It's like, okay, whatever, fine. She does have a drink now and then. She can maybe have too many. That's fine. She wants to, she still views her son as her baby boy. I get that. And in the first few seasons of the show, that's completely understandable. I can get that. But when you get past the first few seasons, oh my God, is she a narcissistic, maybe not yet, no, is narcissistic, self-absorbed egomaniac who just wants things her. She's a control freak. She's actually a control freak. Now, understand this. We get, and she even explains a little bit where this comes from, because we meet her parents, Betty White, and I don't remember the actor who played her father's name. She came from her mother was not a loving mother. I mean, our mother loves her, obviously, but she's a very cold and distant woman who doesn't know how to express herself and is very demeaning and controlling in her own right. And clearly, and she even says, like, even it makes her impossible to say I love you, which a sad little girl wants to hear, so I say it to you every day, I love you. It's like, so we get where it comes from, but as you go on longer in the series, and this is going to sound sexist, I know, but once she gets menopause, it really, because she really makes everything about her and her needs. We learned that she really is an alcoholic. She's a straight out alcoholic. Like, okay, maybe not a straight alcoholic, but she's someone who's got a drinking problem. Like, she doesn't really, like, people call her out for it all the time, and she will not listen to reason on that. Like, Kitty, you got a freaking problem. Like, what the hell? But more than anything, she's a control freak. Like, seriously. And she makes everything about her, especially in the later seasons. Case in point, where Donna starts dating, I'm going to start right here. Where Donna starts dating Randy, she's immediately like against this and starts just literally calling Donna like a whore and all that. It's like, what the hell? And then later when Donna finally comes to confess, apologize, like, oh, and it's like, I don't think Randy's very good for you, and so it's like, I watched it once Eric, and so I was like, I'm not dating Eric anymore. She has to get it. It's like, I'm not seeing Eric. I'm not seeing your son. I'm sorry, I'm not dating your son. And then she basically explains. So I was like, no, this isn't how it's supposed to go down. You're supposed to marry Eric. There are 2 kids named this and this and this and this, and Kitty and Kitty Jr. and people named her Kit Kat. And it's like, and it's played up for a lot. It's like this or this. It was your child, obviously. It's like, no, this is something you had planned out in your head. It's like, how can? And she makes a point too. It's like, look, maybe if you weren't so smothering of Eric, which she was. Let's be honest, she was. She ultimately he wouldn't have left. She's the one who basically gave him a bad reference because she didn't want him going to college, or no, because she didn't want him to move out or put off college. And she tried to make a compromise. It's like, nope, I don't. And he's like, nope, I don't want it. You know what? He was honestly kind of right. They were just manipulating him right there. She is constantly trying to get Red to do things she wants to do. Now, that's fine because Red's kind of the no sense dad who does just kind of wants to be left alone a lot of time. But at the same time, I can get it. He wants to, she wants to do things with Red. But at the same time, it's like, no, it's like, Red, you got a motorcycle? I thought we'd get something we both enjoy, like a necklace or something. So basically buy you jewelry is what you're expecting. Kitty, and then when we get into the later season, oh my God, does she get so self-absorbed. And, like the turkey one like the Thanksgiving episode, for example, the one later on in the later seasons where Bob comes over. It's like, I'm thankful for my wife/mother. My life is meaningless. Oh, I got my own would be nice if someone else said it. It's like, I get it. People don't give you the respect you deserve or give you the recognition you feel you deserve. I can understand that, but my God, Kitty, could you not be so overt about it? It becomes tedious. It becomes less funny and more irritating after a while. There are plenty of other examples I could go off of, I'm certain of, but ultimately, I gotta put Kitty at number 2. She is, to me, the second worst character on the entire show. There was a while where I made and now I realize the other thing I was gonna say, growth. This is where Kitty gets the most. She's the only character on the show, and yes, that's including our number 1 character, number 1 worst, that didn't grow. She receded. She actually devolved as a character. She got worse as the series progressed, whereas everyone actually got a little bit better. Like, everyone grew up a little bit. Kitty actually dematured. She actually got more juvenile as the show went on. So for me, Kitty's the second worst character on that 70's show. But now we are finally here. The number 1 best character and the number 2 worst character. Now, if you are paying attention to who I have been talking about so far and who we got left, it's pretty obvious who number 1 and number 2, the number 1s are. But let's get into it. Number 1 best character on that 70's show, Red Foreman. Red Foreman, everyone. Not only is he he's a legitimately good character. Like, he's the conservative father who is just trying to make ends meet in the world. Just provide for his family. He wants his Corvette. He even gets his Corvette, and he sells it for the sake of his wife. But he's the man who doesn't want a lot. He just wants a little, and then he's comfortable, honestly, with what he has. He's a guy who gets angry a lot, but when you have a son who's just as much a smarmy smart mouth like Eric is half the time, it makes sense why he'd be as angry as he is. The way he. I heard someone at one point put it so well. It's so good to have a positively represented conservative Republican character. Red is a Republican. He's a conservative, but he's never portrayed as anything like we kind of know Republicans today to kind of be portrayed as. No, he's just portrayed as a simple man, a guy who has these values. He fought in a world war. He's killed people. He's not saying he didn't enjoy it either. But he is understand that, no, that's over with. Now I got to provide for my family. Absolutely. And he's just trying to get by. He's always funny. Let's be honest. Red is always funny. Like, just seeing Red get pissed off and scare the crap out of people is hilarious. And then even when awkward stuff happens to Red, it's awesome. Like when Havent Hyde accidentally saw Pam's tits twice. Toyota. Oh my God. Those were great episodes. Red's also someone who, as a relationship, he's spent God knows how many years married to Kitty. I don't even remember how many years they've been married, quite frankly. Because Lori's the oldest kid, but I don't know if they were married. Like they got married. Kitty got pregnant a night on their honeymoon with Lori, or if I don't know. I don't know. They've probably been married at least 20 years, minimum. And yeah, they are crazy at points, but they're married couple and they very much love each other. And they're the most stable couple too. Let's be clear that they're the ones that have not broken up at all. They have fights, sure, but and sometimes Red's at fault. A lot of times it's really Kitty overreacting and being just irrational. And let's be honest, it is. But ultimately, Red is also the one guy who isn't a burden on anyone in the series at all. At all, he's not a burden. Because he's the guy who's shouldering the burdens of everyone, shouldering Eric's stupidity. He took in Hyde. He has to deal with the fact that Eric's friends keep coming over to his house and messing the us. They put a bowling ball through his TV, for God's sake. So Red, ultimately, he's probably one of the funniest guys on the show. He's also the most relatable when you really break it down. He's just, honestly, in my opinion, the most well-rounded, the best character on that 70's show. Now we get to number one. It's pretty obvious because he's the only one left. Kelso. I was honestly surprised when I did this list because in my head, I'm thinking, Kelso's done a lot of bad crap, but no, I think Kitty might have actually outpaced him on this, but nope. Number one, Michael Kelso. Now, I will say this. This is the one, Kelso, before I go into ripping into him, he actually outscored everyone in one thing. Growth. Kelso, for all of his faults, and there's a lot of them, actually grew the most as a character. Even Red didn't grow that much. Like, Red stayed consistent, and his consistency is good. Like, nothing changed with his character that much. But everyone else didn't grow that much, and Kitty actually digressed. While Kelso, he got a woman pregnant. He didn't want to take responsibility, but ultimately, he manned up. He did. She tried to say, no, I don't want you to be involved in this business. I say, no. And he's like, no, that's not fair. No, look, I get it, but this is my child. I understand. Give me a chance here. And sure enough, it's like, all right, fine. And yeah, she gives him a chance. And ultimately, while he still bumbles it along the way, he does ultimately become a father. And he at least gives, we don't know how responsible a father he is, but we assume he's actually, the first time, Beth, gave him a chance to take care of Betsy. Leo ultimately took Betsy away from him. I was like, and went to go sleep. I was like, okay, yeah. So that's not really on his fault though. That was Leo's fault. But yeah, he ultimately grew into a responsible, and then even making the responsible choice to let his the mother of his child go live with her mother in Chicago. I believe it was Chicago, which, they would be a lot farther away. And then he ultimately gets a job, admittedly at a strip club, where he can be closer to his family. And yeah, that's actually that's more growth than any of the other characters did. Now I got that out of the way. Kelso is the least funniest character on the entire effing show. He's too dumb for his own good, too arrogant for his own good, to the point where it's not entertaining. And Ashton Kutcher's not a bad-looking dude, but the idea that he's this good-looking, that, oh my God, everyone's just like, yeah, the girls love me. He's like, yep, yeah. It's like, no. It's like, everyone's like, no, he's really not that good-looking. He's fine, but whatever. And the fact that he's I don't want to say he's an unrealistic type of dumb, but he verges so close to that. No, I take that exactly what I said. He is completely unrealistic in terms of how dumb he is. Like, let's say I need to evolve. Let's say I'm an animal and I hunt really, I need to eat, but I only hunt really fast foods or fast animals. My feet would eventually evolve into rockets. No, dumbass, no. And then he's just like, I never had to evolve, listening skills. My looks are so highly evolved. Like, oh, okay, yeah, all right. It's like, let's invent something, the rocket. It's a bike with a motor. That's a motorcycle. Whether they get the four wheels, it's a wheelchair. Then we're back to bikes. Like, seriously. It's like, and something that Harry Truman wore to stop wars. Like, he invented electricity, dumbass. It's like, oh God. How did hot dogs survive without eyes in the wild? Like, seriously. Oh God. But really, besides that, now that's not to say he can't be funny. Particularly, he's at his funniest when life is shitting on him. That's, to me, when Kelso's at his funniest, when he's basically getting exactly what he deserves. That's when he's at his funny. So again, everyone can get a laugh. But to me, what really strikes a chord here is he's almost, in fact, I'd say he's actually worse morally in terms of like women than Fez is to some degree. Now, Fez has boundary issues. Absolutely. He's a voyeur. He's probably seen his friends hooking up several times. But ultimately, he's not hurting anyone. He's not, almost rarely ever forces himself on anyone. In fact, he almost never forced it. Like at one point, like in the circle, Eric and Donna started making out. He said, "Oh, come on, Eric, take charge. I'll do it." And it's like, so that's more funny than anything else. Yeah, when they first met Kitty, admittedly, he tried to make out with Red, and he kissed Kitty too. But he grew past that. Kelso has no morality when it comes to hitting on anything that has tits, ass, and a vagina. Like, he will hit on any girl, including his best friend's girl. He tried to make a move on Donna twice at that roller disco competition, and then got this shit kicked out of him, rightfully so for it. And he tries to, argue about it. He cheated. He's the only one who continually cheated on a girlfriend, while he was with her. He continually cheated on Jackie while they were together. Like, seriously. And even though he kind of learns his lesson from it, he still doesn't. Like, when Jackie and Hyde break up ultimately, and she's about to go to Chicago, they were about to have sex, so, allegedly. So, yeah, Kelso is quite frankly despicable in many ways. Like, Fez is disgusting, but Kelso's despicable. There's a difference between that. Fez is a pervert with issues. Kelso actually is a douchebag. Like, the fact that you'll constantly hit on your best friend's gal more than once, and even make a move, and even grope and grab and steal her underwear, which has been brought up multiple times. Yeah, you're an asshole. You're just an asshole. I don't care if you've grown and became a good father. You're still probably at your core a bit of an asshole. So ultimately, yeah, that's why Kelso surprisingly, maybe not surprisingly, ultimately took the number one spot for me. Kelso, I never really liked Kelso anyway. I'm not a big Ashton Kutcher fan to begin with. So ultimately, that's my thoughts on worst to best, or best to worst, depending on how I label this, best to worst characters on that 70's show. Let me know in the comments below what your order for the best characters are. Include other characters I didn't. You can include Lori, Leo, Randy, if you're so inclined. Characters you want to include, go ahead. But obviously, I went with the main series cast. That's what I stuck with. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. The weekend Who Would Win is over. I'll have a Who Would Win tomorrow, but that's about it. Yeah, it's pretty much just an average week this week. So just Who Would Wins, the What Ifs, Late and Core videos. If I got a chance to do anything else, maybe I'll do other things. But something's off here. My mouse is not working at the moment. Oh, wait a minute. I know what happened. There we go. Come on, get back in there. Get back in there. There it is. The battery came out. I lost the bottom of this, so I keep a piece of tape there to keep the battery in. But I guess I must have pulled onto the tape a bit. Till then, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and see you next time. Later.